Okay, we're back. We have completed the first 15 rows. Mr. Cameron, if you want to come around, please. We finished the first 15 rows, 2 in the end and 2 in the end hole and 2 in the beginning hole. Then we've now finished the second section where we have 10 rows where we finish with 2 and start with 1. I'm going to show you how we get to the end of these 10 rows. We're still doing the single crochets like I left you, but now we're on the 10th row, single crochet all the way across. If this thing starts arching too much, you're going to grab it and cinch it tight, and I'll show you that in another one, but I will show you how to do that. And I'm also going to show you in a minute how I change colors in case you're unsure how to do that. I just tried to use somewhat of a pattern. This one here, let me show you this. This is a pillowcase. I only have one of them. It's crazy colors, and I thought, it's a fish. I'm going to put it in here. So I added that in there. And I just took different colors that I like together. This material here, I'm not loving this material. And guess what? This was a perfect place to add it. It has a little bit of soft colors, and I could add it and stretch my materials out. So that's what you can do too, some of the types of things that you can do. This is also just a plain beige, but I thought it looked nice with some of these other things. I also tried to alternate and not put too many colors of variegated together, but this one has a lot of it. Here you've got a solid and the solid green, and the rest of it is all variegated, but because it's a fish, I thought it would work well. So you could possibly use up some of your materials that you're not loving quite as much and add them with some other jazzy material. Okay, so you're going to get to the end one, and just like we said last time, you're going to end with 2 stitches in this last one. There's 1, and 2 single crochets in the last one. There's 2. Going to chain up. We're going to mark this. This is your final row of the 10 that you did with 2 in the end and 1 single crochet to start. Now we're going to have 10. Let's find a place to mark it so you know how to count. 15 here, 15 here, 10 here. The next one is going to be 10 as well. Okay, so you did the 1 chain stitch. You flip it, just like we've been doing. We're going to work right to left. But this one, we're now going to start where we're going to end in this one hole. We're only going to have 1 stitch. We're going to start with 1 stitch just like we were doing those other ones, but when we get to this end, we're only going to end with 1 stitch. We're going to do 10 of those where they all stay the same width. Okay, so this is going to now give you that flatter, wider. This is going to be the widest part of your fish right now that we're going to be working on. Okay, so you're going to, what I ended up doing here is, see how I ended in 2? I'm going to pull over. So there's 2 stitches there, 1, 2. I'm going to close that up and grab it right here in the second stitch. You could do it here and it would be fine to start here. I'm going to go ahead and close it up. This is thinner material. I'm not really loving this material. I love the color of it, and so I've used it. But see, you have to make adaptations when you're using sheet yarn because it's not the same weight and whatnot. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in here. This is starting your row where you're keeping them all the same length. And it is all single crochets all the way across, all the way to the end. I'll meet you on the other end. Okay, I brought you back just a moment early before we get to the end because I want to show you how to add a strip. Whether you're adding the same color like we are going to, because I want to finish it all the way so there's a solid, nice, bright green punch in here. So whether you're adding the same color or you're just adding a different color, here's a strip that's already been cut, and I'm going to show you how to add it. If you've seen my other videos, I have so many videos right now, you may not have seen how to do this. You've already watched maybe this video, but if you haven't, I want to show you this technique. This is the no-sew method. You take both ends of the material that you're adding, and you're going to fold it over just a little bit like this. You're going to make a little snip. Open it up so both of them have a hole in it, a little snip. See that hole? You're going to take the material that you have that's already added to your rug, and you're going to place one end of the strip that you're adding on top of it, seeing the hole, and the strip that you're adding, you're going to take the other end of it and push it through the hole. Okay? And then you're going to, excuse me, you're going to pull it. This is a thinner sheet than I like to work with a lot of times. Make sure that your sheets are either 100% cotton or at least a minimum of 50% cotton. You're going to pull it like this, give it a little tug. Okay, I have these videos available on YouTube that show you in much more detail if you want to see it there. So make sure your sheets are 100% cotton or a minimum of 50% cotton. I don't use any synthetic sheets, and I don't use anything less. I try to stick with as much cotton as possible. So we're going to finish this row, and remember we had 10 rows, so we're at the end of the 10th, we're starting the first row of the keeping it the same. So we're going to show you how you end this and how you start it. Still doing single crochets just like we did all the way along. That's why it's a very easy rug to make, other than these little transitions that you need to learn. Okay, so we're coming to the end, and we're going to keep them the same length, these rows. There's your end. See how your end hole is right there? You're going to go into it, do one single crochet, and you're going to chain up. You ended in a single crochet, and now you're going to begin with a single crochet, not two in the same hole. You're going to flip your work and go back across. Here's how you start it. There's your hole. You do one single crochet here, and just single crochet. Make sure you go and you keep it cinched up. Sometimes we get a little more lax, and then the thing will start splaying out. So if that happens and you see it happen, you can correct it by kind of grabbing it, pulling it, go into your hole, kind of cinch it like that to pull it closer. Let me show you again. Put it in there, grab your material. This is the time to cinch it, kind of pull it like that, so there's not very much space, and that'll keep it more flat along here instead of just keep on growing and growing. Okay, so we have 10 rows of keeping it the same. One at the beginning and one at the end with one chain stitch up, and that will give you 10 rows. So let me switch to the next one that already has those 10 rows, and I'm going to show you another technique at the same time, something that again is on my YouTube channel, but in case you haven't seen it, this is a pretty cool little technique. We're going to be adding a different material, but well, let me flip it over because we're going from right to left. And let me show you this. So, have our 15 rows here, and there's where you see that stitch marker of that. There's 2 on the ends, beginning and end, 2 single crochets. Then we have 10 rows of ending in 2 stitches in the last one, and beginning with 1, and then we have the 10 rows here. Okay, and we'll end up marking it. We have 10 rows here of keeping it the same length. Okay, let me show you. We're going to be changing the material, changing the color. I don't have a lot of some of these colors, so I'm having to switch a little bit more often in this particular rug. You may have the same situation. I only had a little bit of this blue here, which I really, really love. I was trying to use it up because I thought it would look pretty. I also have some of this green left over from my turtle. I went ahead and threw that in there. So you can see that I've kind of thrown some other things. I have this from the other fish rug that I've added in here, and you can do that to try to use up some of your materials if you'd like. Okay, this sheet, again, another sheet I'm not loving, but this is a sheet that was sewn across here. You fold your material after you ripped off all your sides. There's a much more detailed video that shows how to cut your sheet yarn in one long strip on my YouTube channel. You can watch that, but this is going to be the shortened version of that. After you have sewn a seam, and I usually do it 2 seams. I don't know if this one was done with 2 or just a super small stitch. It looks like a super small stitch was done. Is that a zigzag, Lyle? Or is that, it looks like a zigzag. Okay, Lyle actually sewed this because he's actually a better sewing machine operator than I am. So he actually sewed this along here. I made it in manageable strips. I had it put on a mat, and we used the mat with this folded up and cut the material. So it's all like this in one long. I'm going to show you how to cut it in one long strip. The detailed, very detailed description is how to cut sheet yarn and 1-long strips. I'll try to put an attachment on here for you. Okay, so you're going to try to cut this like almost like a spiral, a notebook, so it's going to be an all 1-long strip. It's very important that you start at the very beginning here and start at an angle, and you're going to come up from the outside and you're going to cut from here to there. So see how that's an angle? You're going to cut from here to there. And I keep this separate so you don't lose it. And you're going to cut from on an angle again. Each one is going to come from right to left and cut on an angle. See how that, a little bit of a jagged end, and it will make a spiral and all be in 1 long strip from right to left. I'm going to do this a little quicker now, and you can see the detailed, very slowed down version of this on my YouTube channel. There's so many things that there are to teach that there's no way that I can do it all in one. You guys would lose interest. So remember, from right to left on an angle from the top of this one to the bottom of that one. And then I'm going to show you how we add this long one, and this how this can save time. This isn't quite as helpful on this particular project because I don't use the color for too long in this one. You may decide you want to use the color for a long period of time and come up with your own design of how the pattern you want it to work, or maybe you have a lot of the same color. But when a big project, you have to be willing to change. Okay, so now we have both of our ends. I'm going to show you just like we just showed you a minute. You're going to fold it over. You're going to make a snip. I'm going to add it. Okay, thank you for getting that. I'm going to add it. So the piece that I'm adding, I'm going to put it on the one that's already attached. I'm going to put this on top of the other one. You can see there's the slit. I'm going to take the other end of the one that I'm adding and slide it right through there, and I'm going to pull it. Now this is going to take a little bit of time because it's a long strip, but then I won't have to continue to do this over and over and over again. I think this is a really ugly sheet, to be honest with you, but I bought it because the colors, see, here's a place that on the rotary cutter didn't cut it all the way through. The colors I knew were loud and bold and would have its place in one of my rugs. And so you kind of have to be, when you're hunting for sheets at your thrift stores or yard sales or wherever it is you get these things, your sheets, that you kind of have an open mind and you kind of have an open heart to what might come, not just the immediate project, because you have to kind of build up a little bit of an inventory if you're making several rugs. So you have to have different things that you can go with. Okay? Alright, so I've added this long strip. I showed you how I added it. And I'm going to come across here, do a couple stitches, and then I'll meet you at the end where I show you how we're going to transition down. So it's still, now this is a thicker strip, so this is making this wider. This is a 2-inch strip. This material is thicker in consistency than some of these other ones, so that's going to makes it thicker too. Okay, so I'll meet you at the end where I show you how to transition down. Okay, we're back and we're finishing the 10th row of keeping them the same length, and I'm going to show you how we end this and how we transition just to the next phase where we start decreasing. So here we are, we're finishing. We're going to, remember, we go into the last hole and do, see, I have to kind of hunt for it. Going to do 1 single crochet, keeping it even, just like we did all those other 10. There you go. And we're going to do 1 chain stitch, just like we have done. We're going to get another stitch marker. That way we can count where we were. Can't seem to get the point in where I want it, so let me grab again, try again. Sorry guys. There we go. Okay, so that marks, so the next phase is going to be decreasing, and we're going to show 5 of those. So here you did the chain stitch and flip your work just like we continue to do. Flip your work and work from right to left. Now we're decreasing and doing the tail part where we're starting to decrease. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually, after the chain stitch and we flip, we're going to decrease at the end. We're going to go into the third hole. So here's the first hole. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip and go into the third hole. But don't be relaxed, okay? You're just going to go over here and you're going to do 1 single crochet in this third hole. That gives you a nice severe. See how severe that's going to be. Okay, and you do 1 single crochet all the way across, just like that. Alright, we'll meet you on the other end.